Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another live webcast with Capture. Today I have prepared a special with Capture and the Avolites Titan software/console for you. But before we move on to that, I would like to promote the SGM New Talents Award. This is a lighting design contest which gives the inexperienced lighting designers a chance to have their work judged by a professional jury led by no one less than Jerry Appelt. The competition is organized by SGM Germany, and the three finalists chosen by the jury will have a chance to compete with each other live in the headquarters of SGM Germany in Köln in Germany. This live final will be broadcasted live by the online magazine Mother Grid, a German online magazine. It is open to anyone, although if you do not live in Germany, you will need to cover your travel costs to Germany. If you live inside Germany, then SGM covers your travel costs to Köln. So make sure not to miss this opportunity. Among the prizes is a Capture Symphony Edition and also a MacBook. So there are some great prizes to be had, except for the fame and recognition of winning the competition. We will be posting a link to the competition website along with this video as well. So make sure to check it out if you have a chance to participate. So let's move on to the main theme of today, which is a special on how to work with Capture together with the Avolites Titan software/lighting console. So I have here a Windows 10 laptop. It is running Capture 2018 and Avolites Titan 11 Mark I. I've also got a network connection in my laptop. It's actually just a network switch connected to the laptop here in the studio. It is important to have a network connection available when using Capture together with Titan, as otherwise the connection will not work properly. So let's dive into the basics of getting Capture to speak with Titan. And I've started Capture here. I've got a blank project up and running. I've also started Titan. I'm running the Titan 1 simulator here. And that's all I've done so far. So at this point, the first sign of that these two softwares are speaking with each other can be found in the Universes tab in Capture. I'll maximize this so that you can see it more easily. Here you can see that there are a number of projects there are a number of universes in this new Capture project file. And it says that the external universe is Avolites Titan for the first 12 universes here. However, it also says no output at the end of each line, and this is important, and I'll get back to it. And down here at the bottom, where the console link is shown, you can see it's connected to LL-LTO1. That's my laptop. And this means, in fact, that it is connected to Titan. However, at this point, there's no DMX coming from Titan into Capture, and that is the reason why it says no output here in the external universes list. So in order for this to work, we need to get DMX out of Titan into Capture, and that is something that we can arrange easily in Titan by going to the System and DMX settings. Now, throughout this tutorial/special, I'm assuming that you have basic Titan and Capture knowledge skills. This is not a step-by-step tutorial as much as a showcase of the possibilities and benefits you can have by using Capture together with Titan. So in order to get DMX out of Titan, I'm going to enable ArtNet on line 1 and close the settings again. Now in Capture, at this point there's no change yet, although if I double click on an external universe, you can see now that there is actually ArtNet coming into Capture. Now at this stage I need to either restart Capture or reset the console link, because otherwise Capture doesn't understand that we've changed the DMX output settings in Titan. So knowing how to reset the console link is actually a good thing. This can be useful for other reasons. So I'll simply change it to disabled and back to my laptop, LL-LT01. And now we can see that the external universe from line 1 shows up here under universe A. So now we have DMX coming into Capture. And by the way, if you have any questions throughout the webcast, write them in the comments field. I will try to cover them probably at the end of this segment. I might check at some point in the middle, but I don't want to lose track too much. So we have DMX coming into Capture. Let's try something basic like patching a fixture and visualizing its behavior. So I'll go into Titan, into the patch, Fixtures. I will be working with the Roby MMX spot today in mode 1. And I'll patch one such fixture. What happens now is that a window pops up in Capture, which is titled Console Patch. This window lists fixtures patched in the console that I can add to my design. So the MMX spot that I just patched shows up here, and I can drag and drop it into my design. At this point, it disappears again from the console patch as I've added it now and there's nothing more I can do with it. So I'll close the console patch for now. And as we can see, in the Fixtures tab here, we have the MMX spot. It's patched to line 1, channel 1. It is in mode 1, 38 channels. And we can see some DMX values here as well. So we're probably ready to light it, to turn it on. So let's add a stage. So we have a bit of a working environment. I'll just drag and drop a proscenium and move the fixture up from underneath the floor, which is an awful position for a fixture. Switch to live. I'll go into Titan, exit the patch, select the fixture, and turn the dimmer on. And here we are. I'm also going to increase the ambient lighting a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing better. So we have our stage, we have the MMX spot, it is on. The DMX is coming from Titan. And, of course, we also have pan and tilt control and all the other parameters that you would expect at this point. So, obviously we have the basics up and running. Let's add a little bit more of fixtures so we have something more to play with. So I'll go back into the patch in Titan. Fixtures, Roby, MMX spot. Let's have 3 more on handle 2. Now that I added 3 more fixtures, then they all pop up in the console link. And one thing I want to show you is that we can drag and drop more than one fixture at a time. The result of which is them lining up next to each other. So I could either drag them one by one, or select a range of fixtures and drag them all together. And they will appear on a line starting where I dropped them. So at this point you might want to use perhaps the spread even function to clean up the arrangement a little bit, especially if you have OCD like me. Now I didn't change the insertion point at this stage, so the new ones ended up below floor again. I could have changed that as I do when I'm adding fixtures and captures. Normally there's the button for the missing coordinate, so I simply missed that. But fortunately we have the align function, so we can save the day anyway. So at this point we have 4 fixtures, and they were all patched from within Titan, and they are all working together. Now you may also notice that as I select the fixtures in Titan, they show up as selected in Capture as well. So the selection of fixtures is communicated live back and forth between Titan and Capture. So you can select fixtures either in Titan or in Capture. This is very useful for 2 good reasons. Number 1, it's good to have Capture the visualizer up while programming on the console as an additional feedback that you have indeed selected the fixtures you had intended to select. If you select something by mistake, which you didn't have in mind, it's easier to pick that up in 3D when it highlights in a position that you didn't expect. The other reason is you might have programmed groups that are more fixture type based than location based, and sometimes you want to grab every fixture on a pipe, and that is easier to do in Capture if you haven't programmed the group for each specific pipe or position. Then selecting them in 3D is simply easier. Now, before I move on to that, yes, so far I've only added fixtures from within Titan. Obviously, we could also add fixtures from within Capture. The benefit of that would be that we are positioning the fixtures as we are adding them. This, in our view, is probably the easier way of working, but there are situations where either method is the more preferable one. So in order to add more fixtures in Capture, I could go to the library, I could import them from another project, but I'm going to use the quick copy function and simply create another block of 4 MMX spots next to the original 4. Now at this point the fixtures are not patched yet, so they appear as unpatched in Capture. Now Titan doesn't really have the unpatched concept, however, it does have the parked concept. So the fixtures I just added in Capture that I haven't patched yet appear as parked in Titan. And if I proceed to patch them, let's drag and drop them on the first free channel here. They go off the parked list in Titan, and as you would expect, they end up on line 1 among the first 4 fixtures that I had patched. Now if I were to park them in Titan, they're unpatched in Capture again, and as you would expect, if in Titan I unpark them, they're back patched again. So unpatched in Capture, parked in Titan. Let's move on to a more practical programming scenario. One of the first things you might find yourself doing once you've patched is creating position palettes and groups. So for groups, obviously the fixture selection is really handy, so you can select fixtures easily in Capture and record groups in Titan. But another thing where the visualizer truly stands out in the context is for focusing use. So we have 8 fixtures here now, Let's select them all, turn them on. Now if I want to program position palettes for these fixtures, then the old school or traditional way would be working with pan and tilt individually of each fixture. But with the help of the visualizer, I can simply right-click in 3D and have all the fixtures go to the same location where I had clicked. So if I want to, let's say, create a focus palette, or sorry, position palette, that looks like this, that's dead easy in Capture. And especially if you have many lights, this is a huge time saver. Now, without Capture, you would now be recording in Titan the various position palettes. But one nice feature when Capture is connected to Titan is this little record button. This is enabled when Capture is talking to a console that speaks show sync, which I will get back to later. And it allows you to trigger a record operation from within Capture that you would otherwise normally have to do in the console. So imagine this is our first position palette. I click the record button and I choose record in the Titan session. Titan now gives me a few options here. I can choose between a few different types of things to record. Now in this case, I am going for the position palette. Fixture mode is fine. I hit record. Now let's create another position palette. Let's have all the back fixtures there and all the front fixtures here. Again, record, record. What has happened now in Titan is that I have recorded 2 position palettes. As you can see, I can jump between them. And what's more, there's this nice little legend image here. Maybe a bit difficult to see through the webcast, but it's actually a live screenshot or snapshot view from the visualizer as you recorded the position palette. So if you recorded a large number of position palettes, this is a great way of telling them apart without manually having to draw images or write explanatory text for each individual palette. And this of course works equally well with color palettes or gobo and beam palettes. You can also you can update any palette and grab that image as a legend later on as well. It doesn't have to happen as you record it. So let me just check quickly in case we have any questions at this point. It's more of a statement than a question, so I will be getting back to that one. Right, so we've talked about patch in Titan in Capture. We've talked about fixture selection in both ends. We've talked about what some of our competitors call autofocus, which is the pan and tilt exchange, as well as the remote recording of palettes and the small image legend pictures that we can have in the palettes from Capture. Now let's talk about another Titan feature which we are particularly proud of, and that is the built-in visualization. Now this is driven by Capture technology. This is the Capture component in action. The Capture component provides the Capture rendering engine for use by Titan inside Titan. It means we can have a visualization of the show in Titan without running the fully fledged Capture software. Now while it does have the visualization capabilities, it does lack the rich set of design tools that you would find in the full Capture software. Now, the way it works, basically, is that there is one view. Forgive me for fumbling a little bit. So we have the one visualization view here, and there is another view you can open that controls the camera position and settings of the view. So you can look around and move just as you would expect from any visualizer. There are also settings here for quickly jumping to a preset camera position, for adding elements to the stage. At this point, there is actually simply a surface for the floor, for the stage, and a back surface for, well, a backdrop or a wall. Now, what makes this particularly interesting are the next features. Now, if you look closely, you may notice that the fixtures are oriented in the visualization in Titan the same way that I had drawn them in Capture. And that is not a coincidence in any way. The reason is, if I can just resize the windows here a bit. The reason here is that Capture and Titan are in full communication not only about the patch, but also about the positions of the fixtures. So if I move fixtures in Capture, you will see them move in Titan as well, and vice versa. That means that the design work I had done here now is ready to be used in the visualizer in Titan to go, in a sense, right away. Sorry. There is one more nice benefit that I'm going to get back to as well in a moment. The second thing I wanted to show you is that you can also as you can see, having both Titan and Capture on the same screen is a fight on screen space real estate. So if you have two screens when you're doing this, then you are better off than me. Now this here is the settings view for the visualizer in Titan. And on the fourth tab here, which is called Show, we have some interesting export and import options. Oh, and if you saw the flickering going on here, that's because I'm running in demo mode. And in demo mode with Titan, it sends some random DMX on occasion to make sure you can't control a real show with the demo software. So that is nothing to be worried about. It's perfectly normal and safe when using a visualizer. Anyway, what we have here now is the ability to import a Capture project file into the visualizer in Titan. So if I were to pimp my Capture design here with some other elements, like for instance, let's say an actor on stage or some furniture or other pieces of scenery, like this, then we can save this Capture project file and import that in Titan. However, you need to keep in mind to use the export for Capture Atlas function, because Titan does not yet read Capture 2018 files. It means that you will likely always have to keep track of what is the latest version that your Titan software can use, but you can find this in the documentation. So I'll use the export for Capture Atlas. Now you need to save the Capture show file straight into Titan's shows folder. So I'll name the project file from Capture. Now inside Titan, I can now select this Capture project file, import it, and now you can see in the Capture visualizer in Titan, especially if I had zoomed in a little bit so that you could actually see something. Sorry. This is a little bit challenging on such a small screen. So if I zoom in here now, you can see that we have the actor, we have the proscenium that we added, and we have that lectern in front of the actor as well. This means that you can draw a Capture design and import that into the visualizer, and you can even go back and forth. So I can export from the visualizer in Titan into Capture, enhance the design, and take it back in. This opens up for a number of interesting workflows where there's lots of possibilities. Now, one of the other exciting features, so up to now we've talked about a scenario where you are using Capture at the same time as Titan. That is, you're running Capture and the Titan PC suite or an actual Titan running console connected with Capture while we're designing. Obviously, that is not always going to be the case. In fact, we think it's more likely that you have first designed the show in Capture, and then you turn to the console to start programming the show. Now, in that scenario, where you would have a new show, so I'm wiping the show in Titan now. Now, this is the scenario where you start from scratch on the console, but you've already drawn things in Capture. They are both connected to each other. We have the console link running here. And I would like to transfer the patch from Capture into Titan. The way I would do this is by going into Patch, and then I choose Active Fixtures, where the Capture session shows up in the list here. Now, there are some choices you can do here, and this can be done in a few variations, but in the most basic case, you simply click on the first fixture handle, and that entire patch gets loaded into your Titan show. So if we leave the patch, we are ready to go here. We have imported the patch straight into Titan from scratch. And if we open the visualizer in Titan, then of course the fixture positions are where they were in Capture because they were transferred along with the patch. I'm sure there are some ways of using these features that I don't even know about, especially inside Titan. I've tried to go through pretty much everything here. Now, in honesty, all this auto magic behavior only works when the Titan fixture library and the Capture fixture library is in sync. The way this is handled is actually in the Titan library. So Avolites set up a link between the Titan fixtures and the Capture fixtures. If that link doesn't work, you will run into a couple of typical scenarios. And I would like to show them to you because they're not that weird, but it's good to have seen what happens if something isn't as you had expected it to be. So as you are patching fixtures in Titan, patch fixtures. Now I'm intentionally going to choose a fixture which I know isn't synchronized with Capture. Actually, I'm sorry, let's start the other way around. If I select the MMX spot, there's a small Capture icon in the corner here next to each of the modes in the fixture. This symbolizes the fact that the libraries are in good sync and I can work with this fixture without problems. If, on the other hand, there is no Capture icon, it means that the link is broken in a sense. So let's proceed and add one of these fixtures. The console patch appears in Capture because Capture still understands that you've added a fixture, but there's a question mark in front of the fixture because Capture now doesn't know what this fixture is. What you can do then is right-click and select Identify in Library and choose whichever fixture that is available in the Capture library that you would like to use either instead or that actually happens to match, but they haven't been configured yet. So I'll go for the eco space, which, by the way, I have absolutely no idea what that is. I'll drag and drop it into Capture, and it has assumed the correct patch, although it is possible at this point that we don't really have the right fixture here. But as you can see, we could overcome this situation by a little bit of manual user input. Now if, on the other hand, this had occurred when we were importing the patch into Titan, so let's wipe the show again. Let's go to Patch, Active Fixtures Capture, and click on a handle. Now we get a warning message up here. It says, unable to patch all active fixtures, see the event log for more information. So let's click the More Information button. So here it says, unable to patch active fixture AA Dintec Echo Space. So you can see here exactly which fixtures caused a problem when importing the patch into Titan. Now in this direction, to the best of my knowledge, there's not really anything I can do apart from sending a message to Avolites library support and ask them to connect these fixtures with each other. But this is the place, the event log in Titan is where you would be able to see what actually went wrong in this situation. Also in the event log, you can also see some network connectivity information. If you are having network issues, you can see in here whether Capture and Titan are speaking with each other as a supplement to the information available down here in the console link of the Universes tab. So, after rambling quite a bit, let's see if there are any questions. It doesn't quite appear so. So if you don't have any questions, then I'm simply going to thank you for following me. For more information on how the functions I've spoken about work, you can also read through the Titan 11.0 manual, which I think is the latest available. A lot of these functions I've shown you are documented there, and there's more information, especially on how to do some of the patch exchange things, and of course also on how to use the Visualizer tab inside Titan. So finally, I just want to mention that this communication that I've shown you between Capture and Titan is based on an open protocol extension called ShowSync, which is something that Capture has implemented, and in theory any lighting console could implement. In fact, you may discover that some consoles have implemented part of this functionality. A few noteworthy are Camsys Magic Q, the Neo console, Light Factory. But at the end of the day, any console manufacturer can implement all this functionality. Avolites are the one that have taken it furthest, and we think this kind of integration is very interesting in many ways, primarily as a time saver when working with a console, but some nice things like the Legend pictures when you're recording position palettes can be very useful in practice as well. So thank you very much for watching, and see you again in about 1 month when we will be speaking about new interesting things. Good evening.